Music there in the background of my next guest, Brenton Foster. It's a new album called The Nature of Light, and he's releasing that officially at the Stonington Jazz Festival at Chapel of Chapel, coming up in just, only a week's time, the 13th of May, next Saturday night at 9 o'clock at the Chapel. Brenton's online right now. Brenton, nice to have you back with us, pal.
Hi, Leigh. How you going?
I'm doing very well. What about yourself?
Not too bad, thank you. Thanks for having me on again.
That's all right. You must be a busy man producing all of these albums, and they're great. Lovely, lovely sound.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, it's been a busy 12 months since roughly 12 months since I think I spoke to you last. In the lead up to this launch of this new album, it's been a busy time. I've also gone to the trouble of doing some artwork as well for the launch. So if any of your listeners are coming along next week, not only do they get to hear me, but they'll get to see my creative vision on canvases, so they'll be surrounded by 4 walls of Brenton.
Right. Now, what sort of visions are we going to see? Because we're talking about the album here, the nature of colour, or light, which is, in essence, it's colour, isn't it? So yes. I can imagine you've got all colour schemes all over the place, have you?
Yeah, so basically this album's inspired by emotional responses to different experiences that I've had over the last sort of 6 months to a year, and so all these artworks are trying to hint at those emotional responses or those experiences defined through the sort of central colour that sort of seemed to define it. So it's not necessarily just sort of colours around, but some of them are a little bit more of a tactile sort of art piece, which kind of hopes to hint at the sort of genesis behind the work.
So with your new album that's coming out, is each one of these tracks related to an experience in your life over those last 6 or 7 months?
Yes.
It is?
Yeah. So it's been a really cool experience to be able to, compose some music from, not just from sitting down at a piano and figuring out what's good and bad, but instead trying to create some, trying to, fulfill that emotion that sort of inspired the work in the first place.
So tell me about the background then to Hundreds and Thousands. What was the emotional trial there for you?
This one came out of a very stressed state. My dear wife is very, very allergic, deathly allergic to nuts, and I bought her a donut. And it had sprinkles on it, and the sprinkles actually had nuts in it. So it's sort of a bit of a frenetic track, probably hinting at the running around like a headless chicken that I was doing at the time, trying to make sure that everything was okay, and we got to the hospital and everything was fine in the end, but it was certainly a bit of a stress moment.
So, Dave, when you come along, Brenton, rather, when you sit down to do something like this and compose that song, Hundreds and Thousands, you got that in mind, you got your wife and the allergy trouble she had. What do you do? Do you sit down immediately after that, or a day or two later when you're reflecting on what happened, or how do you go about it? Yeah,
so again, this album was a little bit different. Often when I try and write something, I sit down at the time and it happens straight away, or, in some cases it doesn't happen. Whereas with this album, it was actually, sometimes the songs took weeks before I'd actually even sit down and try and write something. So for a song like Hundreds and Thousands, I gave my wife the donut, and then probably about 2 weeks later, I had some music sort of starting to float around in my head, and that's when I sat down. So it was a chance to actually sit with that emotion and, reflect on the experience, and then after a little while try and create music for it.
Your track 6 on here is called Midnight Suite, Part 2, the Rialto. Were you in the Rialto at that stage?
I wasn't in there, but I certainly was looking at the beautiful building and the beautiful Melbourne skyline. So, there's a suite of 3 pieces on this album which were inspired by a night that I spent just hanging out in Melbourne, sitting down and looking at the city and trying to reflect on what makes this city such a great place to live. So, I'm really proud of those 3 songs in particular. Well,
that suite consists of the first one is Transit, then the one I picked out there, Rialto, then Flinders Street. So you've got a cross-section of the whole of Melbourne, haven't you?
That's right, all the important landmarks.
yeah, my word. So how long does it take you to produce something like this? You've got to sit down and write it and compose it and go through an edit, I suppose, to see what you do and don't like. Well, what's the time frame on
it? So probably about that sort of 6-month time frame for this one, from the starting to write everything, and then we recorded it over a couple of days in January, and then it's just sort of been the last few months just getting everything ready, getting all the CDs ready and the vinyls ready, just ready for the launch next week. So very much looking forward to next Saturday.
Yeah,
it's going to be the culmination of many months' work and a lot of not blood, but certainly sweat and tears going into the album. So.
Brenton, you mentioned their vinyl, so it's coming out in vinyl as well, is it?
It is, yes.
That's good. That's good.
My previous album came out on vinyl and digital only, and I have certainly listened to the masses, and this time it's coming out on vinyl, digital, but also on CD.
On CD, which I have here.
Access. Yes, so you've got a CD there. So,
no, it's what I look. Vinyl, I had someone on earlier today too, and we were talking about vinyl to him. That was Dave Wright and his band. And vinyl is certainly making a resurgence. Yeah,
no, it's just great to be able to hold such a beautiful big piece of artwork in your hand, and it's a real experience instead of just the CD. Not that the CDs aren't great, but having that vinyl in your hand is just very special.
There's a different sound to it too. I mean, so you've got that beautiful sound. Digital is great, yes, don't take anything away from it, but when you go back to vinyl, you almost hear that needle going around, and there's just something about the presence of the whole thing.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
It's very different. Now, it's May the 13th. That's next Saturday night at 9 at Chapel Off Chapel. Tickets are $25. And it's 90 minutes, no interval in there. You're going all the way through, you and the guys. Who are your backups? Who have you got?
So the guys in the band, we've got Tom Jovanovic, Gideon Brazil, and Nick Peach in the horn section.
Right.
And then we've got Marty Hollebeck and Aaron McCullough on bass and drums, respectively. So, yeah, very, very lucky to have a really wonderful band of amazing Melbourne musicians. And they've really, so far they've brought this music to life on the record. So I'm really looking forward to what we get to do in that live concert experience.
Going to be a great night. And I dare say if people are buying down there on the spot on the night, you'll sign an autograph, will you?
Certainly, if they want me to deface their albums, I'll gladly do it.
Well, you guys are going to be famous as time goes on, and you never know what the value of that CD or the vinyl may become in 10 or 20 years.
My mum does say I'm going to be famous, so we'll go with that as well.
Well, I'd say to your mum, good, I'm going there. Good on you, Brenton. We'll look forward to that next Saturday night, the 13th, 9 o'clock at Chapel Off Chapel, $25. Book online or ring the Chapel Off Chapel Theatre, and they'll certainly give you the drum and all of that. Brenton, nice to talk, mate. I wish you well for that, and we'll catch you again. Okay,
thank you very much.
Bye-bye to you.